All right. Thank you very much for people for logging in today. We are about to begin in a moment. All right, let's do this. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. We are coming to you live from GSA for the second anniversary of the U.S. Federal Social Gov Community of Practice program. It's quite a mouthful to say that, but I will tell you, throughout all the different programs, working groups, collaborative partnerships we've gone through, we have a lot to talk about. That being said, today we're not here just to talk about where we've been in the last 2 years as a program, but where we're going. And that's part of the exciting thing. We're not throwing a party here. As we said in the invite, we're throwing down the gauntlet. We're mapping out what are some of the shared tools, shared resources, some of the processes that we're going to have to be able to tackle what we're identifying as our greatest challenges in the coming year. And of course, this is not just an opportunity to talk about these things. This is an invitation for you to be part of it. Now, you see in the background, this is the Social Gov Community of Practice, just some of them, which is almost 700 digital engagement managers from over 120 federal agencies from all mission areas of government, from EPA, HHS, to the CIA, and the Post Office. Now, as you can see here, we not only get together, we have a good time doing it. You know, look at the smiling faces there. People genuinely enjoy their jobs, and they enjoy being able to use digital engagement to either A, measurably improve citizen services, or B, reduce the costs of those better services. And so, like I said, you see a vibrant group right there, and sometimes it bucks the trend of what you might think a federal employee is or part of the bureaucracy. Sorry, I'm being joined by somebody here.
I just wanted to interrupt and say thank you for joining us today. Some of the folks in the background are part of the new team at GSA called 18F. And speaking of social networks, we like to do all of our work on GitHub. So check out our code anytime at 18F.
Thank you very much. And like I said, like Gray Brooks just said, he's senior API strategist here, is we're coming to you live today from 18F, which is an innovative, disruptive new place. And we also got some Presidential Innovation Fellows back here. So once again, check out their website, check out some job opportunities, and see if that's something you'd like to be a part of. Also, Thursdays, they have collaborative co-working here. So thank you very much. And as you could see before we had that wonderful interruption, is the fact of that not only do we enjoy what we do and we bring that passion in order to changing government, but also we have collaborative working groups that, like I said, identify and go in and we address the problems that we find to be able to, it's the concept of if you got everyone in government who belong to a certain field together and got them to share resources, share ideas, and together work on these challenges, that's what we strive to do in the Social Gov program. So once again, thank you very much for everyone joining us today. We are going to have a packed event for you today. Now first, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Alissa Johnson, who's Deputy Chief Information Officer for the White House. Dr. J is well loved and respected in our community as a leader and driving force behind how we're going to use policy, technology, better processes to redefine and rebuild 21st century government. Now with that said, from here on out, it's you, Dr. J.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin. First of all, thank you for the invitation. This is so exciting. Yay! Happy second anniversary to the Federal Social Media Community of Practice. Yay! This is such a great opportunity to engage government and engage the American citizens in how we govern and how we do government. First of all, congratulations to the speakers and the presenters. You're going to hear all about them. You're going to hear how they've raised the bar to lift up digital engagement globally. So this is a celebration of the highlights of the projects, the programs, the organizations that have collaborated around the world to improve public service through social media and digital technology. And when I think about social media and digital technology, specifically for the White House, I think directly about petitions.gov. You know, we've really changed the way that we do petitions in the United States, and so happy and so proud of that. Many of you may be familiar with one of our most famous petitions, which is the Death Star petition. That's one of our famous ones. And then to the more serious one, and one that was just responded to, which is the regulation of cigars. And so you can go to petitions.gov and hear about all the cool things and see all the neat things that we're doing and how we want to engage everyone across the world and how we govern. Even though we have petitions.gov, there's also the read and write APIs that are available. So you can take that data from everyone who's writing those petitions and you can correlate it to mean something to either your congressional district or to your special interest groups. Just another great way to engage in public service. So being a public service is not just me as a civil servant, but it is everyone across the United States of America, everyone globally, because we all have the opportunity now through social media and through digital engagement to be a part of the governing process. So year 3, I think, is going to be bigger, it's going to be badder, it's going to be better, it's going to be bolder. I'm looking for improved analysis, I'm looking for transparency, I'm looking for greater collaboration. So year 3, here we come. Thank you for changing, everyone, for changing how the government operates, for engaging in how the government governs. I've tweeted, I've said it, and I'll say it again. Next generation government is social government. Thank you. Congratulations.
About these things. And like I said, this isn't just looking back, this is looking forward to how we're going to work together to improve these things. So thank you very much again, Dr. J, for coming over to the White House. But with that said, we're moving on with the program here. And by the way, because I actually didn't do it before, you always forget the inconsequential things. My name is Justin Herman, and I work here at GSA with the Office of Citizen Services and Innovative Technologies. Now today we're dealing with the social gov community, but you're also going to find mobile gov, UX, code, design. You're going to be able to find analytics, all these things. Go check out digitalgov.gov. It's the website that you're viewing this from to find it all. But for that being said, I'd like to introduce to you a gentleman that I work with, Mr. Tim Loudon. Tim, will you take it from here? Tim Loudon.
Thanks, Justin. I think I had to get off mute there. Thank you so much, Dr. J, for that tremendous kickoff. At this point, what we want to do is actually turn gears a little bit, and I'll introduce myself. I'm Tim Loudon, and I work on the Challenge.gov team with Justin and many of the others who you may hear from today. And we are really excited to have with us on the other side of the hangout Sarah Koch, who is the Director of Social Innovation at the Case Foundation, and she's going to give you a little bit of a description about digital engagement in challenges and prizes. So Sarah, I will kick it over to you.
Thanks, Tim. I'm really excited to be here today. You know, participating in Google Plus Hangouts are always a fun way to actually engage with people who are all over the place, and getting to tour and visit the GSA headquarters is also a serious treat. I love being able to see the background outside of your window as well. This is one of those DC is pretty dang cool moments. But I wanted to take a quick sec to talk a little bit about what the Case Foundation does and our work in prizes and challenges, and to kind of see how that can be used, particularly among federal employees, and what kind of resources are out there for employees to be using prizes and challenges as a way to engage with constituents. So the Case Foundation is the family foundation of Gene and Steve Case. Steve was one of the co-founders of AOL. So things like technology and entrepreneurship and public-private partnerships are very much in the DNA of what we do at the Case Foundation. Our mission statement is actually to invest in people and ideas that change the world. And, you know, I kind of joke around that this is kind of purposefully ambiguous, that we are able to kind of focus on the trends, the opportunities, the change makers around any issue area that is going to have the biggest impact at any given moment. So we kind of change what we focus on from year to year, from topic to topic, and are really looking for those breakthrough innovations that we can fund, that we can partner with. And, you know, to find those, it's a little bit difficult. You know, it's not always easy to just walk down the street and say, who is trying to change the world? You know, how do you find those things? And searching for and implementing innovation is also a big role of the government. And so, you know, this is kind of a common challenge among the nonprofit sector and the public sector of how are we finding, embracing, and, you know, lifting up these people who are really trying to change the world and create social good. So one of the ways that we've found that, both through our work and lifting up the work of others, is through prizes and challenges. We ran our first challenge in 2007, which was the Make It Your Own Awards, and it really came out of this desire for us to lift up people who were doing really incredible things in their own communities, who said, I've identified a problem here, I want to do something about it, but I'm not really sure how to go about getting the funding or the support. I know this is what my community needs, but how do I do that? So we ran a challenge through the Make It Your Own Awards to say, bring us your ideas. What do you need to do? What needs to happen in your community? What kind of support do you need for that to happen? And we allowed people to do crowdsourced submissions, and then we also had a voting opportunity for other people out in the public to say, how viable are these options? You know, is there any feedback that you want to give them, and which ones do you want to fund? And so it wasn't just the crowdsource element, it was also involving people in that ideation process and helping them to, you know, vote to put their backing behind some of these projects as well. And we found that that was a fantastic way for us to engage with people that we otherwise wouldn't come into contact with. You know, there's only a finite number of people who are actually in your network. So how do you get to those people who aren't already engaging with you? How do you find people who are out there with fantastic ideas, with solutions to your problems? And prizes and challenges and crowdsourcing is a great way that we've found to do that. You know, online platforms have become the easiest way for people to say, I want to figure out a way to work with you, and I'm just not sure how to do it. Oh wait, there's technology right here that I can solve problems with you, even if we otherwise would never interact or never connect with each other. We've also done another challenge called America's Giving Challenge, which is all about trying to democratize philanthropy. How do you get people giving online? And this was back in 2007 and 2009, before people were as comfortable with giving platforms. But we saw that as the challenge of people aren't comfortable giving online. There's so many opportunities with philanthropy. People want to be giving to these causes. How can we help them to do that in a way that they're really comfortable and they're really incentivized? So that was particularly about online platforms, about incentivizing people, about finding ways to motivate behavior. And that's really at the heart of prizes and challenges as well, is figuring out what's the incentive that the community needs. Yes, there are a whole bunch of people who are altruistic and want to get involved no matter what, but if you have that catalyst, that reason, that little incentive, whether it's a t-shirt or whether it is getting public recognition at, you know, a press release that the government puts out saying this person actually solved this huge problem that we had, just finding those ways to recognize people and involve them in the process is so key. So we've actually partnered with the GSA on challenge.gov through a couple White House convenings that we did a couple years ago, and most recently with OSTP on a report on prizes and challenges that really lays out what prizes and challenges mean, you know, how you figure out what type of prize or challenge that you want to run. And there are a lot of different ways to incorporate prizes and challenges in the way that you do your work. You know, there are things as far on the spectrum as we just want to solve this really ambiguous problem and we're not sure how to do that. We just need ideas. There are prizes and challenges that can be structured around creating pilots. If you say we want, you know, an app to solve this problem, we just need a few people to make these apps and tell us which one works the best. All the way through to just community engagement, where you're saying we want to get more people involved around solving the bullying crisis. So make us some videos and we're going to use the best one in a PSA that we run. There are a lot of people who are using this in different ways and figuring out what the best way to do it. But the first important thing to say is that it all comes down to what are you trying to achieve? There are definitely people out there who say, we want to have a challenge because challenges are cool, but that's not always going to get you where you want to be. Figure out how you can implement a challenge because it solves a problem that you have, a problem that your agency has, that the issue that you're working on is having right now, and then figure out the best way to present that challenge to your community so that they can help you to solve it. So, you know, that's kind of the first step for all of this, and you can find a whole bunch of resources around this at bit.ly/prizes and challenges. This is the entire report. Don't get overwhelmed. It is a report. for federal and local government agencies, so it is a little robust. But I will give you my little tip is to jump to pages 27 and 28. These are my favorite pages in the entire report. They lay out graphically how to think about prizes and challenges, kind of how you're motivating your community, how you're talking about it, how you're communicating about the prize, how you're incentivizing people, as well as kind of the 6 different types of prizes and challenges that we've identified. And there may be many more, but kind of the most common types that people like to start. So that's bit.ly.com/prizes and challenges if you want to check that out more. And thanks to the great partnerships that we've had at challenge.gov and OSTP around prizes and challenges.
Thanks, Sarah. I was just going to say I'm happy that you mentioned that there were graphics there, because it's not only just a text report, it's a report with pretty pictures, which is always a good thing. So one thing that I want to ask you about this is, being that we're talking about a lot of the power of the social platforms that are going on, and I think that me working on challenge.gov, we've seen absolutely as well what you're talking about, the power of engaging citizen innovators and solvers who want to interact and make the government better for everyone. So in the challenges that Case Foundation has been involved in, what kind of role did social media play? What kind of aspects of social media were you able to incorporate into that engagement?
That is an incredibly important question, because unlike Field of Dreams, if you build it, they might not necessarily come. We've seen a lot of really interesting prizes and challenges that come up, just like crowdfunding campaigns where you put them up on a website and you say, oh, this is so cool, of course people are going to come and they're immediately going to submit ideas or they're going to fund it. And if you don't communicate about it, no one knows that it's happening. The internet is a vast place. They don't know to come and search for your website. So social media communications is one of the most vital things, just to get the message out there so that people know it's happening, so that they know why you're doing it and why they should participate in particular, as well as to get updates along the way. Maybe there are a couple different phases. The first one, they're submitting their ideas, and the second one, you actually want community feedback. Somebody might not have an idea, and so they might see it in the very beginning and say, well, that's not really for me. That's not something that I know how to solve, but they can help to iterate upon the ideas that are first put out there. So if you're updating them along the way, you're getting that kind of feedback loop from people in particular. They might have great advice about things you need to change or pivots that you need to take within the challenge that you're trying to run. And so it's another fantastic way to get the community involved so that they feel like they're part of the process, that you're really capitalizing on all of the momentum and all of the ideas that are out there, instead of just saying, we're only going to interact with the people who come to the website. Utilize these channels to reach out to your folks who are your audience, and find ways for them to make what you're doing even better.
Great. I agree with you completely. I think that social media is a very powerful tool in challenges and prizes, and we have seen specifically in some government challenges some great traction around, for example, hashtags that are designed around a challenge. The Department of Energy in particular has done some great stuff with that. And, as you said, people can submit ideas via different social platforms rather than through maybe more traditional means or on a single platform website. So we definitely want to keep all our options open. Another really interesting thing is that there's sort of a nascent field that's coming on right now in challenges and prizes using social data to solve problems. So the CDC, for example, had a tremendous challenge that they just released the winners for recently, where they were trying to predict the flu season, which I think is fantastic. So before we finish up, let's ask you one more time. Let's just rephrase an interesting. I think it's really important to focus on how should social media managers at their agencies be interacting with the people who might be running the prizes and challenges, because it's not always the same.
Oh, that's a great question as well. And I think that it's the collaboration between the people who are actually thinking about the challenge day in and day out, as well as the people who are there to help spread the word about it, is so important. So if you are a digital media manager, you don't need to be completely on the ground, embedded in the challenge in order to be able to talk about it. You just need to set up systems so that you are, making sure to interface with them, finding ways that you can support them, thinking creatively about how they might be able to engage the people who are submitting, to change the submissions process so it's easier to do on social, or to set up ways that every week or so you're providing some kind of an opportunity to maybe have a tweet chat with the organizers of the challenge. The social media people are the ones who have all of the creative ideas about how to communicate about things really well, and I rely so much on our communications team at the foundation to help challenge me when I'm thinking about how to communicate about our programs. And so don't be afraid to offer up those ideas, think outside the box, and at the very least make sure that you're using social to promote any of the challenges that you're trying to do.
Great. Thanks so much, Sarah. We really appreciate you being here. I believe I'm going to turn it over to a colleague of mine, Jacob Parcell, but we will see you all sometime soon. Take care.
And we'll see you on Twitter.
That we will.
Thank you, Tim and Sarah, for going over that cool project. And up next, we'll talk a little bit about mobile. My name is Jacob Parcell, Manager of Mobile Programs at GSA. At GSA, we've been working with the mobile community for about 4 years now. I guess it's kind of funny I'm asked to talk about how social is involved with mobile, and of course, mobile is social and social is mobile. I did a post on DigitalGov last week that talked about mobile being the center of the social universe. So we actually have more posts that we did in the month of June around social and SocialGov. So I implore you to take a look at the mobile channel on DigitalGov.gov and sign up for updates. But I'm going to turn it over to Kajal Gula from the World Bank Open Government and Open Government Practice, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what they have going on at the World Bank. Take it away.
Hi guys, my name is Kaushal Jala, and I work for the Open Government Practice at the World Bank. It means a lot of things to many people, but I'll try and break it down to try and tell you what it means to us. Yeah. So we started out very early in what we had, which was very similar to 18F, a small innovation group. And one of the things that we wanted to do was bring in much more visibility around certain aspects of governments, like budgets, like resources, contracting, right? We wanted to get the roads sector much more open in countries where we work, and we wanted the pharmaceutical sector to be much more transparent. We wanted the extractive industries in countries like Nigeria where we work to be much more open and visible. We also had the but we've also been thinking about what we can do with the private sector. So in many countries where we find that the business environment has been a bit stodgy, we've been pushing governments to open up the business registry. What we're finding is that there is a lot of overlap, a lot of corruption in that, and so a lot of our work has been to streamline how businesses work. And the angle we've been taking is we've been leaning traditionally very heavily on civil society as well as other non-state actors to improve their voice within government. Now the World Bank, as well as a lot of the countries where we work in, are at a very interesting stage where they want to open up the conversation not just to civil society, not just to traditional constituencies like media and parliament, but they're understanding what the power of engaging with the citizens directly is. Now this is really, really beautiful, because what you have now is you have the ability of citizens having a greater voice at the table in issues they care about, right? So that's what we primarily do. And what we're finding to be an accelerator in this space is technology, right? So when we design our processes, we're thinking about how we can use technology in a much more effective way. Some of it is social, some of it is, geospatial, but we're thinking about ways in which government can leverage that. I mean, I'll give you one last point before I get much more specific about what I'm talking about. What we've realized in the last 4 years is that there's a lot of technology out there, whether it be Ushahidi, Frontline SMS, things that are being developed here within 18F, which strengthens civil society and the citizens' hand to talk to government. Where we're finding the gap, and where I'm very keen to work with the 18F as well as GSA, is to build technology that allows government to engage with our citizens. Now you're talking about really strong community tools out there, but we're now talking about enterprise level tools that allow them to manage their systems better, right? Publish data better, engage citizens around policy making, and inform citizens better, right? Allow them to come in and have a conversation. And what we're finding is that the technology is that missing gap. So that's where we stand. I I'll give you a very quick overview of one or two of our programs, right, and where we've seen this happen. So what we have right now is we have, if you will, early examples of where this works, right? So I'll give you an example of one of the hardest places where we work, which is in South Kivu, which is in the DRC. Now, DRC is a post-conflict state. Some would say it's still in conflict, especially in the Kivu region. And we took an experiment from Brazil. Brazil has the oldest and largest participatory budgeting process. What participatory budgeting does is it puts a certain percentage of the budget in the hands of the people. Now think about it this way. I mean, these are people who have gone through many years of war, are struggling with access to basic services, have issues around security. But what we've been very keen to do is push this idea of direct democracy, right? One of the things that we're finding is that tax collection in these countries is very low, number one, but also their access to voices within government and things that affect them directly are so low. So there's a huge gap in where the resources are spent and what the people are looking for. What we found is that because of the participatory budgeting process, which is carried through mobile and which is supported through mobile, in certain provinces, in certain regions, there was a 16% increase in tax collection. Now, for us, the tax collection is a clear indication of trust in government, right? But when we started the experiment, one of the things that came back to us over and over again is that we're talking about a country which has 14% cell phone penetration at best, right? So there was a real strong pushback to say, well, technology may not be the answer. But what we've seen is that while it's not the answer, and while we've been working with community radio stations and local CSOs and things like that, it has been an accelerator, and it has been an accelerator in a way which we never even expected, right? A second example is some of the work we do in Philippines. In Philippines, there's a $1.4 billion trust fund that is spent by the government of Philippines on conditional cash transfer. Traditionally, what in the US you would call food stamps, or money goes directly to the citizen, right? And in the Philippines, they support 4 million households. And so what we've seen is in 2010, the number of issues they received was 50,000, right? It took them 98 days to resolve one issue. That was the average, right? A lot of issues were open for over 2 years. And by introducing technology, we did two things. As Justin said, we did two really interesting things, right? We increased the number of issues coming in to 200,000 a year. 200,000 issues. But more importantly, we were able to reduce the number of days in which those issues were closed to 32 days. So again, this is very key. This is where I think we find the interplay. When the government of Philippines was here, one of the things that we found very interesting was to have them sit with people either at the White House, the State Department, Department of Roads, all agencies, and understand how the US and how other countries are if you will, approaching these problems, right? A lot of times the technology is not difficult. What they're very keen to understand is what are the mechanisms behind that. One of the things that they were very surprised by is how small the team behind e-petitions was and how effective they were, right? How much trust a platform like e-petitions had built over time, right? And what some of their challenges were. And so, through this thing called the Open Government Partnership, we've been very keen to engage. And, I think a lot of these conversations started over beers with Justin and a few of his colleagues. But we've been able to bring them much more in the limelight and say, okay, here are some of the things that we're doing. Here are some of the things that other countries are keen on when it comes to the open agenda. What can we not only learn from them, but what can we share with them and strengthen their programs? So that's a little bit about what I do, and and I'm very keen on seeing how we can, broaden the base of our collaboration. So.
Thank you so much. So you mentioned technology, and you mentioned a simple technology that I think is underutilized sometimes, especially in the federal government. And specifically what I'm referring to is the SMS technology. I know some agents in the U.S. are working it, but I'm assuming it has a great impact in the work you see. Is that true? Would that be a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, for us, we work in Nepal. One of my favorite projects sits in Nepal, right? In Nepal, we work in 21,000 villages.
Mhm.
Sometimes just walk between one village to the other, and the only way you can get to the villages is by foot. When you get to the Himalayas, it takes 2 days, right? It takes 2 days. So if you were to visit every single village, I mean, it could be my lifetime and yours put together.
Mhm.
But the interesting thing is that the connector is technology. Everyone has a cell phone, and what we've seen is that everybody's on WhatsApp, everybody's on Facebook, on Twitter. They're and that we haven't seen that technology kind of come into government, right? Now we're seeing the first aspects of that in 18F, and we're seeing how we're having broader conversations on how we could use the social web, as well as cell phone technology and SMS and all these other transformative technologies in the way we do business and government. But we're still in early days, and so we're very keen to strengthen that. And I think we have some very strong early examples of where we've seen success. The SMS thing again, the reason why we are very insistent on the SMS, because it's the lowest common denominator.
Mhm.
Right? Everyone in the world who has a cell phone possibly has access to SMS. They might not be on the web. They might not have access to other tools. But SMS is key. We've also been experimenting a little bit with what we call IVR, so voice-based technologies,
Mhm.
where we're able to run these large surveys over a short period of time. It's been extremely critical in places like South Sudan, where the environment, whether it be for security or it be for access to services, changes from day to day, right? And so there's a little bit of an interplay, and I think we're very much coming to understand that what we've done so far has been experimental, but now we need to get a little bit more pedantic, and we need to get uh, more structured, because if we were to scale this out, if we're to really find the strength that technology brings, then I think two things will improve our ability. One is the partnerships we form, right, and the other is increase the base of those who have access to these conversations. So, and that's where technology plays a huge role. Yeah.
And so I have one more question for you,
Sure.
and this is one Justin asked us to ask every presenter today. So
Oh my
how
God.
can the social gov community of practice help with those action items? What's their first step?
So one I mean so one thing for sure, definitely reach out, right? Reach out, ask us about what we're doing, share what you're doing, right? One of the things that we've been learning very quickly is that we don't have all the answers, right? I think we have some of the problems, some of the hardest problems, but we're quickly realizing uh, that the technology space is moving at such a rapid pace that this is where the answers will come from, right? I mean, what they say is that, you know, uh, the smartest people will always work somewhere else, and I want those smartest people to at least be talking to us, come and share what they're doing, right? Learn a little bit about what we're doing, and help
Mhm.
us find synergies. And I think, um, and this is a plea to those within government as well as those outside government.
Mhm.
Let's find solutions together, because I think some of the problems we work with collectively are the defining problems of the time, right? And so, yeah, so come talk to us.
And you can do that via social media, obviously.
Yes,
So thank you so much, Mr. Jalo, today for coming and talking to us today. And I think we're up getting ready for our next panel. So the next moderator will be here in just a second.
thank you so much, guys. Bye.
So hello everybody. Want to wish a happy anniversary to the Social Gov movement. It's been an important 2 years and a lot of accomplishments along the way. My name is Jack Bienko. I'm the Deputy Director for Entrepreneurship Education at the U.S. Small Business Administration. You can check out SBA's social feeds at SBA.gov and also check out Business USA, where we share information across the spectrum of federal agencies. The SBA's mission is to inspire entrepreneurs, help grow small businesses, and strengthen the economy. With 27 million small business in existence currently, and probably about another 100 million folks interested in entrepreneurship, we definitely leverage social media to do all we can to reach every corner of this broad market. For new efforts, including a SBA Academy for Young Americans, to working with organizations like ARP to help those who are looking at entrepreneurship as a second career. The SBA is proud to partner with GSA and our other federal agencies and organizations across the world to help entrepreneurship. My main task today here is to introduce Mr. Justin Herman, who serves as the social media lead for GSA and the Social Gov movement. Justin is very recognizable. You may have seen him last night on the BET Awards, the only federal representative given shouts out by Nicki Minaj and Young Money. With that, let me hand it over to Justin. Justin, please tell us a little bit about your work and what's going on at this historic point with the Social Gov movement.
All right, thank you for that great introduction, Jack. I tell everybody that you're my favorite, so I'm glad you're able to. And for those of you streaming in online, Jack has just been such a fantastic supporter with the Small Business Administration of digital engagement and social and government. You can find him. He's always ready to buddy up. Let's go check out WeWork. Let's go check out 1776. Let's go to collaborative spaces. Let's talk to the startups, and so it's just absolutely fantastic having you as a partner in this. Now, one of the things, just to get going on this, is what you'll notice is many speakers have gone today, and you'll notice that you might be like, well, nobody has actually been talking about how many retweets they've gotten or bragging on the viral ability of their content or something like that. It's because social media and digital engagement in government isn't just PR and marketing or telling people about our programs or telling the story of government programs. It's reinventing the story itself to make government more efficient, more cost-effective, to create those things that improve and build that government of the 21st century that we all strive for here. And so the crux of it, and what we were very glad to release on this day, is, like you've heard, and Dr. J was talking about the ability through e-petitions, things like that. Now that we have got this community of almost 700 digital engagement managers who are all sworn to go in and identify and find out what are those shared challenges that we all have in government, and to create working groups to tackle them one by one, the thought is, so what are we doing with that ability? And so what we have had today is, in the past, we've put together a working group, and we'll release a toolkit because, as we know, the performance analysis for social media for public services is different than that for an advertiser or just a basic private sector marketer. So what we know is we didn't see many great examples of public sector performance analysis of social media. So we put together a 10-agency working group, and then together we were able to work with the digital analytics program at GSA to design specific performance measures for social media in government. Also, we were able to be joined, and later you're going to talk directly to the man, Mike Reardon, to be able to put ideas. We knew that accessibility for social media for persons with disabilities is such a fantastic challenge, such a great challenge that we face. And then luckily we were able to put together people, and now we've got the Department of Labor really leading the way with an accessibility toolkit that not only comes from a collaboration between government agencies, but also countries like Australia, who have a fantastic toolkit. Once again, through partners, through things like Kaushal Jala at the World Bank, or our people in Australia, or our interagency connections here, we're able to share resources and not create the wheel and ensure that we have the best, most up-to-date programs. Now, the next step for this is that, now you might have heard of e-rulemaking or e-policy development. We're going to be releasing 3 new toolkits today, a suite of new services that are all open for public contribution through HackPad. And so the 3 things are: 1, the Policy Development Toolkit. Policy Development Toolkit is the first of its kind for the federal government social media community, and what it does is it evaluates and lists out a number of different provisions, over 40 different line items that should or have been represented in a government social media policy. Now, what it does is not only identify that, but it offers a section where people can go in and load up sample text, sample policy that they can go in and say, okay, not only do I evaluated my policy, I've used this toolkit, it shows that I have a couple of these holes in it, but boom, I can take where it's already been done well and plug that in there. Now, if you go to digitalgov.gov, that's where you're going to find the toolkits, and Ori's actually bringing it up right now. Ori's behind the control booth here. But once again, it's not just the ability to check out and view the resources, but we are inviting people from the community, not just from agencies outside the federal government, to be part of that, to make sure that it's not just some document we update once a year, but this is a living, breathing policy document that could change as necessity dictates. Now, from there, we not only have the policy development toolkit, we also have the performance analysis recommendations in there. Now, if you'll go in, you'll see that there's main buckets and different examples of how you can measure and how you can report for different tools. But I will tell you, it's just started. In the same way that you look into the policy toolkit, there's going to be immediate areas that you can see where you can contribute, or you have something that you could participate with, and we need it. We always say to people, don't ask permission, don't wait for permission, just go in and do it and be part of the solution. And of course, the third thing, and like I said, Mike Reardon's going to jump into this more in depth later, is the accessibility toolkit to learn, because I'll tell you, when the president, for instance, said that when your power goes out during a hurricane, you go to social media for public services. But the thing is that as we're using these emerging technologies, we need to ensure that these services are accessible to those who need them the most, especially in emergencies or in the basic benefit services, which is the accessible community. Like I said, Mike Reardon is going to talk to that at great length, but I think the great win here, I think, is that we're moving into a model where it's not just we have working groups that are able to contribute and then create a product for it. We're now creating living, breathing products that not only our working groups, but anybody in the world can contribute to and be part of improving government policy, improving government performance analysis, and improving accessibility for persons with disabilities. And so I find that to be a very exciting time. And also, once again, this is resources that rely on your contribution and your participation. And it is not going to stop here. This is a model that, because eventually we still get questions, on our listservs or something. Someone's like, does anybody have an example of, this security certificate or, this business case? But we work into the shared services model that we have, in which we continue to extend to different repositories, and it basically becomes a suite of knowledge management where people don't have to waste time recreating the wheel, because somewhere, any question that somebody has, there's somebody across the agencies and government who might have already tackled that or might have the resources of the solution. That's what the social gov community is all about. It's not dictating things, but finding the things that bind us, connect us, and ensuring that we have the full resources available to us, whether we're an agency that has dozens of employees dedicated to digital engagement, or you're a one-deep shop. You're never a one-deep shop in this community because you have the rest of us. So once again, I thank you very much for having me here today, Jack, to talk to you about this. Listen, do you have any questions on that we can share?
Yeah, Justin, that's a lot of useful information, a lot of great resources that you're unveiling this year within the community. So quick takeaways, I'm thinking, your recommendations towards the social media community, A, get involved, B, learn along the way if any of this is new to you, contribute and utilize. What other challenges, how can the social media community as a whole really sort of take this to the next step in year 3 and year 4?
Well, I'll tell you, when we talk about these challenges here, Jack, as you've probably heard me say often, our mantra in the social gov community is to quote Polar Explorer Lieutenant Robert Peary when he said, "We shall find a way or make one." A great example is that, okay, when we look at online, we look at Facebook, we look at Twitter, Oftentimes celebrities are verified accounts, but you'll find emergency management accounts that aren't verified because it was just that switch. It becomes that much more painful to go to each individual agency and prioritize it. For the first time, Facebook became the first major social media platform in order to say we are now going to verify all federal government accounts for that. We believe that regardless of popularity, because like for instance, if you're a person and you definitely need that education benefit, the veterans health benefit, you want information from FEMA or something, it doesn't matter how popular that account is, you deserve to ensure and know that that is the true and accurate account that you're working with there. Now, the reason we are able to do this is through what's called the Social Media Registry. It's another shared service that we have here. It's a repository of more than 3,000 social media accounts, official ones for government. By using the API for that registry, Facebook was able to verify 1,200 social media accounts across government in what it would have taken the same amount of time before to handle one office. So that's when we sort of see how this power of the shared services is that when we collectively tie people together and we focus on those infrastructure channels, we make helping one agency or one agency helping you the same level that it would take to help the entire government, or, you know what I mean, to spread it off like that. Does that make any sense, Jack?
Oh, it makes tons. That's awesome, Justin. Thank you for sharing all this information. I know folks can jump on Twitter and use the SocialGov hashtag to ask questions. We'll be promoting some of these resources so folks can access the documents, get into the communities, utilize these resources throughout the years coming forth. Again, thank you to your team for all you do. I have the pleasure now of introducing Gwen Costin, also of the GSA team, who's going to talk a little bit about accessibility with the Department of Labor team. But again, Justin, thanks so much for coordinating this SocialGov Hangout today and everything you and the team do to share the love throughout the SocialGov community.
And thank you so much for your support of entrepreneurs and small businesses that are so critical to our programs.
Great. All right, I'm handing it over to Gwen.
All right. Here you go.
And good morning. I'm Gwen Costin, and I am the director of the Center for Digital Government here at GSA. And we are the people who bring you these resources, including digitalgov.gov. If you have not been on that resource, a lot of the information that's here today, you can follow up. Justin asked me to start off real briefly by talking about why I care about social media. What does it actually mean to me? And in my government career, I was the director of new media for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And in that role, we spent some time working on a lot of different types of issues. And in the last administration, there was a lot of discussion around immigration, and we had found that there was no way for government to talk and to get information back and forth on the issues around immigration with the public. And from that, we developed the first blog. There's early social media, the first policy blog in the federal government. And that was very important because it really gave an opportunity for not only the department to talk to the American people, but also for the people to respond back. In order for that to really have any meaning, people have to have access to the information. And I'm really happy to be able to introduce Mike Reardon from the Department of Labor today to talk about the importance of accessibility to that promise of interaction. Mike?
Thank you, Gwen. I appreciate it. And I also appreciate GSA putting events like this on once again. At the Department of Labor, I actually work for a policy office, and it just so happens I work on disability employment policy. And for people with disabilities, accessibility makes all the difference in the world. It's the difference between being the great equalizer for people with disabilities or the great barrier. And so if your technology is accessible, it means people with disabilities have access to the full range of supports that everyone else does. And if it's not accessible, it's just the opposite. It makes people who have difficulties in their lives have more compounded difficulties. And so events like this are very important to us. And the toolkit that I'm going to be talking about actually was a result of a Gov Summit that was conducted about 18 months ago now. Justin and his crew met at the Department of Transportation, and we had about 100 social media content managers from around the government. And a couple of things about that meeting are pretty important, at least to me. One is that we were surprised by the fear of accessibility for a lot of social media content managers. Fear in the sense of, oh, this is something that's very complicated. This is something that's probably very expensive. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I shouldn't do anything at all. And the second takeaway from that is by the end of that 2.5-hour meeting, fear turned into, maybe I can do some of these things, because we provided some demonstrable, fairly easy workarounds and solutions that everyone sort of appreciated and could understand. And that's sort of formed the basis of this toolkit. What we wanted to do is to put together a series of tips and recommendations and guides for social media content managers so that they could see that this is not necessarily rocket science. This is something that is not going to blow up your office. You're going to be able to make your social media accessible without a lot of difficulty and without a lot of expense. And so just now, today, they're posting the toolkit to GitHub, and you'll receive, hopefully, a link tomorrow so that you can then access it and take a look at it and provide any content suggestions that you have to make it a stronger toolkit. The toolkit is sort of a Web 2.0 version. We've had a toolkit now posted for quite a while, but now we have more information about how to make tweets accessible, how to make Facebook updates accessible, YouTube postings accessible, Vine posts, blogs, etc. And so we strongly encourage you to take a look. I guess the next step at this point in time is if you could take a look at the site and take a look at the toolkit, and please let us know how you can improve it. We're trying to put together a wiki to make content more accessible and easier for you to contribute, so that we have an ongoing dialogue of accessibility issues. Right now we have, for the toolkit, I think 8 federal agencies have contributed content to that. We would like to see that in the dozens of agencies as well. Okay.
Great, Mike. Thanks so much. I want to, I just think this is such an exciting thing and effort that you all are doing, and it makes me really hungry for a little bit more meat on that. So could you tell us 1 or 2 specific things that people may not be thinking about when they're thinking about accessibility in social media?
Yeah, I mean, the major point is to try to keep it as simple as possible. Good design is great, and we like to have all these bells and whistles, but it does present complications for a number of people with disabilities. So, for example, just over 1/3 of people with vision disabilities say that they have difficulty using social media at all. And so with just some simple little thing, for instance, write in plain language, use camel case whenever possible, limit the use of hashtags, limit the use of acronyms and abbreviations, make sure you tag all the pictures. You got to remember, so a lot of people, especially those with vision disabilities, if the picture isn't tagged, they don't know what you're trying to convey, for instance. And so that's fairly easy. Other ideas is to make your social media content available through more than one channel. Make your social media content available, or at least your content information available on your social media page. Provide links where you can to the official social media support, because a lot of these companies do have support pages, but the people with disabilities don't necessarily know how to get to them. So if you make it as easy as possible, then good things are going to happen. A lot of social media managers do get sort of bogged down in some of the Section 508 and WCAG requirements, and that's important, and you should retest whenever you can. But if you look more at usability than accessibility, I guess, in the legal sense, then you can't go wrong.
That's really important. I just want to follow up real quick on what you said. One of the things I bet you would surprise a lot of people is that over-reliance of hashtags is an accessibility issue. Tell us a little bit more about that real quick.
Well, it's also more where the hashtag is placed. And so if you place the hashtag in the middle of the posting or at the end, it's much more likely going to be understood and used by people with disabilities rather than sort of at the beginning. So just some simple little items like that. And a lot of, again, social media managers, once they start doing this, then it becomes routine and they don't even think about it after a while. So it's just part of it is just having to sort of think in other people's shoes. It's like if I had a vision disability, what issues would I face? You know, can I if someone sends me a link on my Facebook, do I have access to that link? Can I click on that link and will it send me somewhere, for instance? For many people with disabilities right now, no, that's not the case. And so just think of those little solutions. And that's what we're trying to do with the toolkit is whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Vine, there are just very little simple sort of workarounds that we need to pay attention to.
That makes so much sense. I'm going to ask you Justin's big question in a little bit of a different way, which is not just how can the social gov community practice help, but really, let's say I'm not an expert and I'm listening to you and I care about this. I want to participate. Should I participate and what can I do to help?
Yeah, be a part of Justin's community. That's the best thing is take a look at the toolkit, contribute where you can, become a part of the community. So those 8 federal agencies I mentioned earlier that have contributed to it, again, it's part of the community, and we maintain contact with them, and they maintain contact with us to share best practices. If you find something that's working that we didn't think about, let us know, and we'll let the rest of the community know as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. And I want everyone to really take Mike at his word. He's a great person to collaborate. This is a fabulously collaborative process, and it can literally make everything more accessible to everybody in the country in terms of social media. Thanks very much. And next we're going to be joined by Alison Lemon.
So thank you so much, Gwen. My name is Alison Lemon. I work at the Food and Drug Administration Office of Women's Health, and we use social media to reach women with health and safety information about the products that they use every day. And today I'm here to introduce Jill Moss from USAID, and I'm really excited to hear about the guide that she's been working on, strengthening civil society through social media. So I think we've all watched over the past few years around the world, citizens really harnessing social media to get involved in their countries and to affect change. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Jill.
Thanks, Alison. That's great. I appreciate the introduction. And boy, we've seen a couple of toolkits being launched today. So I'm pulling up the rear, and I'm really excited to tell you about the new USAID guide for civil society strengthening using social media. The guide itself is a very interactive flipbook form that can be found on the usaid.gov website, and that URL is usaid.gov/smguide4, and that's the digit 4, CSO, so Social Media Guide for Civil Society Organizations. So the intended audience for this guidebook is civil society organizations. What we're hoping to do with this guide is to build up their technical skills. In many countries, we know social media is very popular where USAID works, but to a degree, you have civil society organizations that don't know much about it, aren't engaged with it very much. So our goal with the guidebook is start to grow that technical knowledge, grow that skill set so that civil society organizations can leverage social media more for their purposes around organizing, building community, and potentially crowdsourcing or crowdfunding. There's so many opportunities through social media that we intend and hope to build through the guidebook. with civil society's engagement. We hope to also build a community of practice around this guidebook where we know we have civil society organizations who are using it, but don't necessarily have all the technical skills, where we've built an online platform for people to come and share their knowledge, share their questions, and grow a community around the guidebook itself so that ultimately in time we can see a much more robust community of civil society organizations that are leveraging their voice using social media. So as I said, it's available in flipbook format on the USAID.gov website. It's also available in hard copy format, and we're pushing it out through our implementing partners out to civil society organizations around the world. We also have it available in really small PDF format on these flash drives. So lots of tchotchkes to hand out, but the goal, of course, is to get it into the end user hands, which are civil society organizations. Anyway, the quick overview of the guide, it's a pretty broad intended approach to social media. So we look at major platforms, but we don't dive too deep because the platforms are changing constantly, and so it's a pretty broad, macro, global scope. But we look at platforms that are popular in the regions of the world where we know we have USAID missions and civil society organizations that would like to use social media. We have an analytics section. We have a section that talks about security and privacy on social media. We have a section that talks about developing a social media policy and a strategy. We talk about how to build it into programming, how to build your constituencies. So it's a pretty broad intended resource. Sorry, Alison, I can go on and on.
No, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for the introduction. I think my first question would be, what do you see as the biggest difference for these civil society organizations versus some of us in more established government programs? What do you think is their biggest challenge?
Well, remember, USAID is working in developing countries, and so a lot of civil society organizations where we're working aren't really very, they don't necessarily have the broad technical skills that civil society organizations in the United States would have. And I'm pivoting, of course. We're coming at it from a government agency perspective, and a lot of what we've heard about today are toolkits that are intended perhaps for audiences in more industrialized countries. This is not a toolkit that's intended for those types of audiences. We're looking really at the bare basic fabric of society, your nascent civil society organizations or your small organizations that don't have a lot of resources or technical skills, and so we're reaching out to them to try to grow their knowledge base. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, definitely. So you know it's coming. We want to know how we, as the Social Gov community, can help you with this project, because obviously it's a great kit. We want to get it out there. So what can we do to help?
Boy, I'm so glad you asked. I think that it would be a value added, of course, if our colleagues here in Washington who are working through the Social Gov community of practice, if they know or have colleagues who work in developing countries, or they can perhaps build bridges between civil society organizations or partner implementing organizations, or they're running programs in developing or even industrialized countries, then it's just a matter of building the community, building the best practice community. The guidebook is intended really for civil society in developing countries, but it's a basic primer that can be used by anyone. And so it's not precluded. If you're here in the United States and you want to use this guidebook, you're welcome to it. If you know someone in a developing country who could benefit from using it, or if you're working for a government agency and you have reach into developing countries or industrialized countries, the toolkit really does need to get distributed far and wide.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Alison.
So next, I will be turning it back to Justin Herman, who will be helping us wrap up the day.
All right, gather around, y'all. All right, thank you so much, Jill. And so this is kind of like our Saturday Night Live sign-off here. So once again, thank you so much, Jill, and thank you everyone. Ori, you gotta get over here. He's waving though, but Ori's been behind this. And once again, to everybody out there, thank you so much for participating, however you had in these programs, and I hope you have seen through the course of this that there are so many more ways that not only can you get involved, but we need you to get involved. And if I didn't pound my fist once on a table, it would not be one of our meetings. So once again, thank you so much. Come check it out, because I'll tell you, it's not even that these opportunities exist. It's that these opportunities are waiting for you, and not just in social media, but in mobile development, in user experience, in code. We are building the government of the 21st century, and we need you to work with us on this. So thank you again. Keep your questions coming on the SocialGov hashtag. And from all of us over here, have a great day. Oh, the main voice can come out.